Welcome back to this 2-week intensive on registration and resonance. My name is Heidi Voss and I am your tone-based voice content lead. On day 2, you have a very interesting assignment. One that's going to help you develop your understanding and discernment for hearing registration. And why do I think it's so important to consider what it means to hear and learn how to recognize orally those registrations? Because so much in what we do as singers is audiate. We hear, we think, we produce. So in today's assignment, you're going to become much more thoughtful in terms of how you're listening to singers and also diagnosing where are they in their range, in their specific registers. So here's how this one works. First, choose 3 recordings. Ideally, they will be singers in your Fach, and of course, in the style of music that you are singing. Now, of course, tone bass is primarily geared toward classical singing. So classical singing, classical recordings will be the gold standard here. But let's be honest, you can certainly take this 2-week intensive and start applying this work to other styles as well. So once you choose your 3 recordings, you want to think about, as you're choosing them, by the way, that you are aiming for pieces that have a wide range. If you find pieces that are in a relatively limited range, you might not actually find examples of singers moving through registrations. And you really want to find those pieces that are going to be a little bit more challenging, let's say, for those singers, that they have to make registration choices. So number 1, aim for pieces that have a wide range. Number 2, here's the next thing. Identify where in the examples the singers are using which register. So ideally, you would find a piece of music, find a recording with that singer, have the sheet music for that, and while you're watching or listening to that singer sing. And then maybe, color coding that music and saying, when she's in these measures, she's clearly in chest registration. When she's in these measures, she's clearly using a head registration. When she's in these measures, it sounds pretty middle voice and mix. So identify what's happening. Maybe you hear whistle, maybe you hear falsetto, maybe you hear some level of blending and you're really curious as to what the ratio is in terms of how that singer is blending those registrations. Then what I want you to do with that is describe what you hear in the different areas of the range. And what you're doing when you're doing this exercise today is developing a vocabulary, your vocabulary for what you hear in the sound. Now this may seem a little esoteric, but the reality is so much in studying voice has to do with labeling things so you can get back there, benchmarking things so that you can understand how to replicate them. And this exercise today is all about identifying examples, diagnosing them, benchmarking them, and creating real neural pathways, as it were, by using vocabulary and labeling so that you can return to what your definition is of these very specific physiological events, which is registration and even laryngeal shifts. So today's assignment, make sure that you are learning to hear registration in the music that you're listening to. And as always, I would love to see you post some of your examples in the forum. Show us that video, give us your analysis, and let's talk about it. We'll learn a lot together.